Peter Carlson had a very good idea for the music, and he chose Quincy Jones, which is an American, not the sort of person you'd identify with the sort of project, really, because it's such a British project.
Just always fascinated me. Everything from you know, Rule Britannia to Spotted Dick Stodge.
He came over to England, and he was here for a while. He very quickly got into the spirit of the thing. There was an evening when Cockney songs were being sung by Michael Caine, and
he sang things like, "My old man's a dustman, he wears a dustman's hat." So he went through all these with great relish, and Jones was sort of nodding his head. It was completely new to him, all this stuff.
And he says, "What is that, and why is that?" And I said, "Well, it's the way Cockneys talk and rhyming slang, which is changeable," I said, "all the time."
The song Get a Bloomin' Move On was really just one of those silly things that Quincy would say to me, "What does apple and pears mean, up the apples and pears?" And I said steers, and then I gave him a whole list of things, you know, Peckham Rye means tie, you know, and Daisy Roots means boots.
I was amazed because it was a very British film with very patriotic singing and football and that, you know, self-preservation society. And to get this great black American jazz musician to do it.
He just used to fall about because he comes from America where they had no idea what this was. And he said, "Well, let's do a song like that." It was Quincy's idea, actually. He said, "What a great idea, let's string them all together." Which was very easy for me because I come from the East End of London where people, you know, speak like that.
A lot of Michael's character's culture went into Quincy's head, and that's how he was able to write such a perfect English-type music.
We started to talk about Cockney slang, and that registered right away because as a jazz musician, the beboppers, they had more slang than anybody. And it also comes from a slave thing or a prison thing, I think, in London.
It's for prisoners in prison to be able to speak to each other without the warders knowing what's going on. And once the warders find out, they change it.
He liked the associations with Cockneys, he liked all the rhyming slang, and he loved some of the singing that Michael Caine could do. And they got on very well.
We call ourselves Celestial Twins because we found out from our mothers that we were born at exactly the same time.
Once we found out we were celestial twins, something happened. You know, it really did, and it happened naturally, very, very organically.
Quincy, to this day, will still greet me when we see each other in LA. I go for our birthday. Very first thing, he'll go straight into some rhyming slang that he's learned, usually wrong.
Watch the boat on the ice cream when he checks out the Bristols on the Richard. You know, what did I say?
What about this one?
Watch the face when he checks out the Bristols on the Richard with Richard III, the bird, you know.
He loves rhyming, Cockney rhyming slang, and he wrote a whole song about it.
Well, ice cream freezer, geezer.
Get your skates on, mate. Get your skates on, mate.
For Quincy, they thought it had great character to it. And since then it's become, as you know, a bit of a cult, this song. And I still don't know what it means, really. It's just a bunch of rhyming slang, East End phrases.
We had a dinner for Beckham here, and Beckham was telling me, he's the one that filled me in on that the audience is singing that song at the soccer games every year. I had no idea. I won an Ivor Novello last year, and a lot of the kids were teasing me this, saying there's no way that anybody but a Brit could have written Self-Preservation Society. I said, well, guess again.
But I thought Quincy did an incredible job of it, considering he was writing in about 10 different blooming styles, you know, and none of which were his.
When you're dealing with Michael Caine and Noel Coward, you better be dealing with a Brit approach, you know. And I was very happy and honored that I got a chance to do a film that represented the country.
People have often said, is it Michael Caine singing on the end of the song? I mean, I don't know if it's Michael singing or not. It sounds like it. I'll have to ask him. Maybe you could ask him.
Well, it was just a gang of us, you know. Yeah, we all sang it. And you didn't need singers because they weren't a choir, hardly.
We recorded it out at Olympic. At the same time the Stones were doing Sympathy for the Devil at Night. We were in the studio in daytime scoring the film.
I also think that the final scene in the film when Charlie turns round and says,
"Hang on a minute, lads. I've got a great idea."
And then you get this tiny little riff of Quincy's music. I mean, it was just a beautiful little piece of editing which shows the kind of optimism. It's part of that Charlie theme, which was, there's no such thing as defeat. You can find a way through everything. Gives the audience a feeling that, you know, they're going to somehow get their way out of this.